Live in Japan. How to find accommodation and get a long-term visa. Japan is a country like no other, a perfect mix between East and West and a truly Japanese culture. Here you get amazing food and service and access to an endless offering of shopping and amusements. And of course the youth culture with anime, manga, J-pop and fashion. Combine this with a rich cultural history and cutting-edge technology and it's easy to understand why many people want to live in and explore Japan for a longer period of time. In this video we will help you get started by looking at discounted long-term accommodation options to Japan and how to get the long-term visa to Japan. We will start by looking at accommodation in studio apartments, share houses, and Japanese host families. Studio apartments in Japan often have simple standard. To rent an apartment, you'll need a resident card that you get if you stay in Japan on a long-term visa, for example a student visa. We will talk more about different visa options later on in this video. To get an apartment on your own can be tricky in Japan. You usually need to use a supplier that will charge you a big one-time fee, key money, before you can move in. And apartments in Japan usually are not furnished, so you will need to buy everything, including a refrigerator. However, at yourhomeinjapan.com, we can help you to book furnished apartments where everything is in place, so you just have to move in. Portable Wi-Fi is included and we give you a 40,000 yen discount on the supplier's key money. Studio apartments usually cost between 65 and 100,000 yen per month in Tokyo, depending on location. Read more at yourhomeinjapan.com. If you want to share an apartment with other people, then share house is a good option. You don't need a residence permit to stay in a share house, so there you can stay even if you're only in Japan for 3 months. Living in a share house is cheaper than getting your own apartment, and the share houses often have good location as well. You have your own bedroom of about 10 square meters. Then you share kitchen, bathroom and other facilities with the others who live there. This is a great way to get to know both Japanese people and other foreigners living in Japan. The prices range from 40 to 90,000 yen per month, depending on location and room size. Just like apartments, you can book a share house at discounted prices at yourhomeinjapan.com. If you're learning Japanese or if you're really interested in the Japanese culture, I would recommend doing a homestay where you live with a Japanese host family. This will give you a unique inside experience of the Japanese culture, and you will get a chance to practice your Japanese every day. Breakfast and dinner is included, so you will get to eat great Japanese food as well. The standard of living is usually better in host families than in share houses and in studio apartments. You can start by booking a homestay for your first month in Japan. Then you can decide if you want to stay with a family or if you want to move on to a share house or a studio apartment. At yourhomeinjapan.com we can give you up to 1,080 yen per night in discount on long-term stays in a Japanese host family. If you want to stay in Japan for a longer period of time, you will need a long-term visa. Here's 4 different ways to get a long-term visa to Japan. 1. Study in Japan. Most Westerners that visit Japan for an extended period of time start by studying Japanese at a language school. Prices are reasonable, and if you want to stay in Japan, you had better learn to speak some Japanese. You can get a student visa for up to 2 years at a language school. After that, you can continue your studies for 2 to 3 years at the Semongaku, a Japanese vocational college, or take a bachelor's degree at a Japanese university for 4 years. So you can get a visa to study in Japan for up to 6 years, or possibly even longer if you continue to do a master's and a PhD. You can read more about studying in Japan and find discounts at DreamStudiesAbroad.com. If you want to stay in Japan after you finish your studies, you can apply for a job. This leads up to the next step. 2. Work in Japan. While you study in Japan, you can work for up to 28 hours on a student visa. After you graduate from a Japanese university or Semongaku, you can stay in Japan and apply for a job for up to 1 year. If you get a full-time job at this time, your employer can sponsor a work visa so you can stay in Japan as long as you're employed by them. If you have a bachelor's degree from abroad, you can also look for jobs in Japan. However, you will not get a special visa during the application period in this case, so you will need to go there on visa waiver or apply from your home country. It's harder to get a job if you have not lived in Japan. Then you usually need to be a specialist in an attractive field. If you want to stay an unlimited time in Japan, then our best advice is number 3. Marry a Japanese man or woman. Then you can stay in Japan and work or study for an unlimited period of time on a spouse visa. 4. Invest and start a business in Japan. You can also get a long-term visa to Japan by starting a company there and apply for a visa as an investor or business manager. You have to invest at least 5 million yen, about 50,000 US dollars, and employ at least one person in your company. To get this visa, you need to convince the Japanese migration authorities that you will create a real company with a solid business idea, so you will need to submit a business plan and other documents to support your application. At DreamStudiesAbroad.com, you can find schools in Japan and read articles about studying in Japan and how to apply for a student visa. At yourhomeinjapan.com, you can book discounted long-term accommodation in Japan. Please like this video if you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.